It's 2018. The world buzzes with excitement as He Jiankui steps into the spotlight, announcing he's just made scientific history. He's used CRISPR, a gene editing tool so advanced it's like the Photoshop for DNA, to create the first genetically modified babies. But hold on. The applause dies down, replaced by a global gasp. Jiankui has not just pushed the envelope, he's torn it, diving headfirst into an ethical minefield. Now, who is this man that so boldly stepped across the line? Born in a humble Hunan village in 1984, Jiankui was a kid whose eyes always seemed fixed on the horizon. Money was tight, but ambition? He had that in spades. Scholarships carried him from his village to the University of Science and Technology of China, where he studied physics. But the US was calling, and he answered, landing stateside to pursue a PhD in biophysics. Here, he rubbed elbows with some of the greatest minds, publishing research that turned heads. Fast forward a few years, and he's back in China, joining the ranks of SUSTech in Shenzhen. This was no ordinary university. It was a playground for the creatively scientific, fueled by ample funding and a mission that sung in harmony with Jiankui's dreams. He teamed up with his mentor, Dean, and the stage was set. Something big was coming. The world just didn't know it yet. June 10th, 2017, Shenzhen. Two couples walk into Jiankui's office, anxiety lining their faces. They're grappling with fertility issues and considering in vitro fertilization, the usual path for couples like them. But Jiankui, never one for the usual, pitches an audacious plan. What if we could give your future kids a genetic shield against HIV, he asks, mentioning that their dads had been victims of the virus. It sounded like science fiction, but with CRISPR, it was entirely possible. He wanted to modify a specific gene in the embryos, essentially installing a no-entry sign that would block HIV. Think of CRISPR as a genetic scalpel, allowing scientists to edit DNA and rectify genetic errors that can lead to hereditary diseases. His aim was to edit this region out, ensuring that these future children would forever remain immune to HIV, because the gateway for the virus would be permanently edited out. It was this moment when scientific curiosity crossed the border into ethical no man's land. Because as we know, pushing boundaries can lead to breakthroughs, but it can also plunge us into dilemmas that we're just not ready to face. You see, the DNA Jiankui was editing wasn't just any DNA. It was germline DNA. Imagine the germline as the ultimate family heirloom, a chain of cells that passes on your genetic ID card from you to your kids, and from them to theirs. Mess with this, and you're not just altering one life, you're rewriting the family script, and possibly our entire species. Now, should we even be fiddling with such primeval code? It's like standing at the edge of a cliff, deciding whether to leap into the unknown. In China, the answer is clear. Don't even think about it. There are rules set in stone against it. As ethical debates continued, He Jiankui continued to enlist additional couples for his groundbreaking experiment. The experiment yielded its first significant results when a couple participating in He Jiankui's project gave birth to twins who had undergone gene editing through CRISPR technology. On November 26, 2018, Jiankui found himself in an unexpected position. He was compelled to announce the birth of the gene-edited babies at the Second International Summit on Human Genome Editing in Hong Kong. This was not his original plan. He had intended to reveal his groundbreaking work through a coordinated effort with an Associated Press report. However, things took a different turn when details of his experiment were leaked via MIT Technology Review. As a result, Jiankui lost control over the media frenzy that followed. Jiankui's experiment triggered a significant backlash due to its clear violation of ethical standards and established guidelines. By editing human germline cells, he ventured into uncharted ethical territory, crossing a line that had long been defined. One particularly concerning facet of his experiment was the notion of designer babies. Rather than merely addressing diseases, He Jiankui's work aimed to enhance specific genetic traits. This idea raised pressing questions about the potential for societal discrimination and the unpredictable consequences of meddling with intricate genetic systems. In the wake of this controversy, the global scientific community swiftly and resolutely reacted to Jiankui's actions. Prominent scientists worldwide united in condemning his actions. This uproar served as a catalyst for re-evaluating existing regulations and oversight mechanisms within the realm of genetic research. In response to this incident, governments and international organizations felt compelled to revisit and, in certain instances, reinforce their regulations regarding gene editing research. This, in turn, sparked discussions about the necessity for global cooperation and the establishment of unified standards in the domain of genetic research. Critics labeled Jiankui as a rogue and China's Frankenstein. Speculations arose regarding his secretive conduct, suggesting that he concealed his intentions from peers and superiors. There were accusations of potential document forgery, evading supervision, and providing false test results. However, it's vital to note that concrete evidence supporting these claims was lacking, and the Chinese investigation remained internal. He himself never publicly admitted to any wrongdoing, leaving many questions unanswered. Jiankui's inner circle, as documented by Ryan Farrell, a hired public relations specialist, encompassed a diverse group. It included distinguished scientists from China and the United States, business executives, entrepreneurs, and even a controversial U.S. specialist in in vitro fertilization, IVF, who considered the concept of establishing a gene editing clinic with Jiankui. The presence of this group implies that the responsibility for conducting the experiment without the appropriate ethical approval might not rest solely on He Jiankui's shoulders. The inner circle's involvement likely contributed to his confidence in moving forward. Roughly a year after the turbulent events of 2018, a third child was born as a result of the controversial gene editing experiment. The global scientific community responded again with widespread criticism, leading to Jiankui's initial house arrest, which later escalated into his detention. In December 2019, a Chinese court issued its verdict, attributing Jiankui's actions to deliberate violations of medical regulations and the irresponsible use of gene editing technology in human-assisted reproductive medicine. After approximately 3 years in prison, Jiankui regained his freedom in April 2022, marking a significant turning point in this eventful scientific narrative. People who know him describe Jiankui as an idealistic biophysicist, tainted by naivety and driven by unwavering ambition. Before the repercussions, he believed he had pioneered a groundbreaking method to combat the HIV epidemic, an achievement he hoped would earn him a Nobel Prize. Unfortunately, his experiment details never made it into scientific journals. Instead, draft copies of his work, later obtained by MIT Technology Review, were deemed to have serious scientific and ethical shortcomings by experts. In February 2022, 2 senior Chinese bioethicists advocated for a government-led research initiative to oversee the well-being of the CRISPR children, identifying them as a vulnerable group. Their proposal involved conducting genetic analyses to assess whether these children carried genetic anomalies that might impact future generations. In an unexpected turn of events, He Jiankui made a comeback by establishing a research laboratory in Beijing the previous year. By July 2023, he unveiled a new research proposal that echoed his previous work. This proposal sought to explore whether modifying a specific gene could provide protection against Alzheimer's disease. This research initiative stemmed from mounting concerns about the challenges presented by an aging population and their implications for healthcare and society. It's important to highlight that this proposal emphasized that no human embryos would be employed in pregnancy without the requisite government permits and ethical approval. Nevertheless, experts have expressed reservations about its scientific validity, and its approval within China remains uncertain. The field of genetic editing is both promising and perilous, as exemplified by He Jiankui's return and his new research proposal. This controversy serves as a stark reminder that scientific advancements must be guided by ethics, transparency, and rigorous scrutiny. As the world moves forward in the realm of genetic editing, the lessons from this narrative will shape the responsible use of this powerful technology and its potential impact on the future.